Hello, whistleblowers across the universe. Um, Apologies, first of all. I've not been very active on this YouTube channel recently. I've just had a lot of family things, which I've had to sort out. Lots of not very interesting stuff, but lots of stuff which needed to be sorted out. So today, I'd like to run through a wonderful Carolan piece, one of his most famous, called Carolan's Concerto. I'm going to play it through without any kind of ornamentation. Now, I tend to use slightly different ornamentation on the Carolan stuff, mainly because it's of a different time. It's much more akin to the Baroque period. So you can use traditional ornamentation like cuts, rolls, crowns, those kind of things, which I do use, but I also include a few other more Baroque type ornaments, which I'll go through later on. So what I'm going to do, and the important thing with this piece is to try and find where you can breathe, because it's one of those pieces where there's not that many sort of natural breathing spaces. So we have to look at where we can put them in, and we may have to do a little bit of adaptation of the actual written notes themselves. But anyway, let's play through it. Today's tune breakdown, Carolan's Concerto. I'm going to be using this lovely Chaikong whistle, made in China, and Alex Zeng very kindly sent me this over to try, and it's a magnificent whistle. So well done, Alex. Your whistle is magnificent. So let's play through just the first A part without any ornamentation. I am going to use some tonguing to separate rather than cuts. But I do use some cuts, and I also use some more traditional ornaments, which obviously weren't really being played, I don't think, in the Baroque period. Okay, so let's have a look at the A part of Carolan's Concerto. So what we're going to do, first of all, just go through it and look at where are some breathing places. So it's much better to breathe on a longer note than a shorter note, and I'll show you where works for me, and it's a matter of finding it for yourself, really, because we all have different lung capacities, different whistles. So yeah, try and find out what works best for you, but the most important thing is always never to displace the rhythm or the tempo. So don't allow the breathing to add anything to the overall tempo. So I'm going to play it through first, nice and steady. So 1, 2. So there's a long passage of those 16th notes, those semiquavers, and it's good if we can possibly get to the end of that passage without taking a breath, because there really isn't any way you can take a breath. When you speed it up a little bit, it makes more sense. But okay, so in terms of tonguing and articulation, I'm using quite a bit on this. So I'm going. When I nod my head, that's when I'm using tongued articulation. So, next part. try that again. So. Breath. Breath. Now, what you want to try and do is get that whole passage in one breath, because otherwise you're going to have to drop notes, which is okay, but it's better not to in this case. So it's going to go breath. So that's where I would take a breath at the end of the first bar on the third line, bar number 9. And it's possible, certainly possible, and it'd be good if you can get there. But as you're learning this piece, don't worry if you have to sneak a breath in. But it's good to try and keep those semiquavers, those 16th notes rolling. So it's going to go. Take a breath. Now you may want to take what I call a preemptive breath there, just a little top up, because we've got quite a long passage. However, you don't need to in that case, because we can take a breath at the end of line 3. So we can go. Now instead of the D there, I play a C sharp. So that's a nice place to take a breath to get that little 16th note semiquaver G. So let's go through that with the breathing one more time. So. Now obviously when you're learning this, you're playing it slower than that, so you may need to breathe more often, which is fine, but that's where we want to try and get the breathing. We don't want to make any kind of real adjustments. If we have to when you're learning it, that's fine. You can drop one of the semiquavers, one of the 16th notes, but I'm going to play the whole of the A section now at a similar kind of speed, just to show you how the breathing works and the articulation. So here we go. 1, 2. Then repeat the whole of that A section. So same thing. When you're playing it to start with, yeah, we want to try and get those semiquavers, those 16th notes even. So let's, even if you're doing it slower, to sneak in a little breath there, which is absolutely fine, but it sounds better, and certainly when you're playing it at speed. The articulation and the breathing work quite nicely at that speed. So that's the A part, no ornamentation, just the notes and just some tongued articulation. Let's have a look at the second half now. Okay, so this is the B part, the second half. Again, this is repeated and played through twice. So we've got the little triplet figure. So I'm tonguing the D, tonguing the high B, tongue in the A. Now I like to separate those because it kind of goes in with keeping, so I'm using quite a bit of tongued articulation in this. So again, separating those A's, G's and F's with cuts. So all this using tonguing in groups of 2. So we have a very long passage. So what I do is on the bar 25, bar 27, I do this. I play the first D, drop the A, so I go. So. So I'm dropping that little A for a breath, and it works absolutely fine, yeah? That way we can play the whole of that passage. Otherwise, I can't get it anyway in one breath. You might be able to, but I certainly can't. So let's have a look at that passage. So we're going to go from the beginning of the B part, which is lines 1, 2, 3, 4, beginning of line 5. And then we come back again with that triplet figure. So I've got the tonguing in groups of 2, and on the last bar I'm going back to tongue in a group of 4, group of 4. So that's how we're going to do it, or that's how I do it, with tongued articulation. And you can play it all through without any tongued articulation, but I prefer to with this piece. A lot of the Carolan tunes, I tend to use more of a Baroque kind of view, overlook on this. And a lot of the Baroque music, they never put any articulation in, especially the flute music, and you kind of just made your own articulation. But with this piece, definitely, make it work for you. So it might, like I did on that bar 27, drop the A to get a breath. Or you may not need to. You might be able to play it all the way through. But the important thing is to keep those semiquavers, keep those 16th notes regular, really important. Okay, I'm going to play it all the way through as we've done it, just with the tongued articulation and with the breathing that we discussed. Okay, I have set my click to 60, counting in 2, 4. I'm going to play it all the way through. So I'm going to repeat the A part and the B part. So play each part through twice. And as usual, we're not going to ornament this first bit, but I'm going to, in the next bit, show you some of the little things that I like to do. Again, you don't have to put any ornaments in if you don't want to. Play it just as a straight tune. It works beautifully as it is. So, click set to 60. Here we go. 1, 2. Okay, so here's some little ornaments that I like to put in. And again, put the ones that you like in. And if you think it's too cluttered or too busy, then leave them out. It's absolutely no reason to have to play it exactly the same way that I do. You can even add your own ornamentation if you want. But so starting from the top, the way I like to do this, and this is certainly by no means any Baroque thing, I like to cram to get the separation. So rather than going, I like to go. Just a nice little addition, I think. It makes you can mix it up if you want. The first time you can tongue it, second time you could even throw that little cran in to get the separation, yeah? That's right. So what I'm doing there on the A's is doing a little kind of, it's a short roll, but I'm tonguing it. So the normal short roll is cut and tap, but here I'm playing the note first, cutting it, then tapping it, so it's giving it like a tripleted effect. So it's, imagine doing a long roll, so note cut tap, but you're doing it in the time of a short roll. And that's what I call a tongued short roll, or a tripleted short roll. So that's the first line. And again, you can put that tripleted short roll on the high A. I'll put in a little twiddly bit, so now you can cut some of those notes, which sounds quite nice. I'm just going. I suppose it's an upper mordant. So note itself, note above, note itself. Yeah, so it's a kind of an upper mordant. So second line. I think it sounds quite nice there. Yeah, it's not overly busy. Okay, so third line. Now, if you want, you can just cut the G's. Sounds quite nice. Or just tongue them as well. But what I like to do is a kind of a quick, short roll. So same thing with the next bar. And again, I'm tonguing those high notes there, the G's and the F's. So the other thing you can do is put a little trill. Yeah, that works nicely. It's quite difficult to trill the G like that, but it's possible. Yeah, so what I might do on the G, because it's not an easy note to trill that. It tends to be a weak finger, so I'm going to do the. Put the little trills on that because it's a nice finger to trill that. Yeah. Yeah, that little mordant. Or just tongue them, yeah. So again, I'm adding some cuts there. Yeah. So I'm cutting the first and the third note of each one of those semiquavers. So normal tongued. Now with the cut. A little trill on the F sharp. So play the whole of the A part. So yeah, try a few of those little twiddles, those little ornaments, and see how you get on. Right, let's move on and have a look at the B part. So, the B part, again we've got some now we could do that, so add the I've just got down, up, down. So we can do that. Or we can ornament the D and the C sharp. Now, you can change that up if you like. So I'm using that tripleted tongue short roll. Or what you could do is ornament the D and the C sharp. Yeah. And leave the A's. So what I'm doing on the C sharp is a little finger brush. You're going 1, 2, 3. Takes a lot of practice to finger brush, but you have to take your whole hand or your thumb off the back and the whole hand, but get into the back into the right position. That takes quite a bit of practice, but what I'm doing is 1, 2, 3. You could mix that up, so you could, first time you play it, first time round, you could play the ornament on the A's. Second time around, you could do the opposite. So that's some ideas for ornamenting the first part of the B section. So play the rest as it is. There's no ornaments in the next bit. So from bar 21, so there I'm putting those tongue short rolls. So I'm going tongue, tongue, tongue the short roll. Tongue slur, tongue short roll, tongue. Now you can do that, or you could do a little, just a little up and down. try that first if you're not so comfortable with the short rolls. Now with the short rolls, so that's what I do on that section there. So rest of it really is just playing through with maybe a few little sort of trills added. And again, you can cut those notes 1 and 3 if you want. Playing the long note. Again. So there I'm putting a little, so you're going G, A, G. So there I've got the little trill again. So the B part all the way through. There's some little ornaments you can try out. Some of them are kind of Baroque ornaments, and some of them are more sort of found in the Irish tradition. So I've kind of mixed it up here. But again, use what you like. If you don't like the ornaments, then don't use them. It works perfectly well, this as a straight piece of music without any twiddly bits. But if you want to add a few little twiddly bits, add them at your own discretion. Add what you like. Okay, so before we go, I'm going to play this all the way through for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it through all the way through. First time I'm going to play it through straight without any ornaments. Second time I'm going to add the ornamentation. So you can hear the difference. Excuse me. Here we go. 1, 2. So there we added a few ornaments just to kind of make it a little bit more dressed up, if you like. But the tune itself without any ornamentation is lovely. And again, use it at your own discretion. Add your ornaments, add what you like. If you think there's too many, then take some out. Again, always experiment with what you're doing and what sounds best to your ears. And again, there's no right or wrong way to ornament things. The only thing is to make sure that whatever you do ornamentation wise, you don't obscure the tune, and you never ever displace any of the rhythm, especially on those running semiquavers. That's so important. So that's the end of this tune breakdown. If you found it helpful, if you found it useful, then if you would perhaps like to subscribe to the Whistleblowers YouTube channel, give this video a like, share it amongst all of your friends, all of your family, whistle players, non-whistle players. The more subscribers, the more content I can get to put up there. So it helps me out immensely if you can subscribe. And that's about it, folks. I'm catching up with some of the requests for some tune breakdowns. There's going to be a tutorial or a couple of tutorials coming up, and I'm also going to be doing some beginner stuff, looking at some beginners questions which have come up, and hopefully I'll be answering those in some upcoming videos. So thanks for sticking with me, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye for now, folks.